Hello everyone, Alex here. So today I want to talk to you a little bit about online university placements, whether that be co-op or internship, and how you can succeed and get the most out of them. I'll be sharing some of my personal tips and tricks on how to succeed, and I'll be covering my experiences in my teacher's college placement with an organization called Youth Empowering Parents. So with that said, let's get into it. So in my teacher's college program and many university co-op programs, you generally need to complete between 4 and 5 placements to get your certificate. And while I've had many in-person placements such as working in labs, etc., this has really been my first experience with a fully online placement and working from home. So for my first co-op placement in teacher's college, I'm working with an organization called Youth Empowering Parents, which runs a charitable program that enables young people, such as students from grade 3 to grade 8, to teach their parents or older adults life skills. Previously, this program has been a winner of the United Nations Innovation Award, showing just how valuable it is in today's society, especially with younger people becoming more and more familiar with technology and older people sort of falling more out of the loop with it. So as a teacher candidate, this program actually offers a lot of flexibility in learning experiences. For example, on some days I'll be working with older adults teaching them technology skills and life skills, and on the other hand, some days I will be working with students and teaching them how to teach older adults. In general, a typical day involves planning activities and lessons for my learners to take part in, going over those activities and lessons, which can take anywhere between 1 to 2 hours, and then assessing what they learned and giving them a small project to complete before our next class. In addition, once a week I meet with a supervisor and some of my other peers, and we discuss what we did with our learners and how we assess their learning, and how we can improve our teaching for both our younger audience and our older audience. And I cannot stress just how important good communication skills are right now with your supervisors and your peers, especially right now as most of our jobs have moved either online or people are working from home more often and have limited in-person interaction with their supervisors, peers, or even clientele. So now I'm going to move into some of the tips and tricks and observations that I've made while I've been working from home and how to help you succeed and get the most out of your online placement or learning opportunity. So the first and most important thing in my opinion actually doesn't have to do with working, it has to do with not working, and that's to take care of yourself and to take breaks. Right now it's very easy to get sucked into work, as if you're doing an online placement or working from home, it means you're living, sleeping, eating, and working all in the same space. And that makes it more important than ever to practice self-care. Remember that you need to take breaks and get out of the house or apartment and get some fresh air, even if it's standing out on a balcony of an apartment or going out for a 5-minute walk. Make sure you're doing something that gives you a break, makes you feel positive and refreshed, so that way when you get back to work, you can fully immerse yourself in it. And right now, if you have an online placement or are working from home, you're probably spending a lot of time in front of the computer, which is really not good for your eyes. So remember that a break doesn't mean flipping over to YouTube or Netflix and watching a show for 5 or 10 minutes, or even half an hour if you're on lunch. It means get away from the computer, give your eyes a little bit of a rest and a break. And this also means monitoring your mental health. Don't be afraid to talk to your supervisor or your peers about how you're feeling, and try to put some systems in place that help you and improve how you're feeling on a day-to-day basis. For example, if you need a day off to take a mental health break, or you need a little bit extra time on an assignment or project, don't be afraid to ask. The worst that someone can say is no. In addition, most universities, colleges, and workplaces have a lot of information and resources available to use about working from home and taking care of your mental health, so don't be afraid to use them. My next tip is setting up your own personal workspace. As we're probably all aware, you don't have the most productive time if you're lying in bed typing something on your computer, or sitting in front of your TV with Netflix on in the background. While this may work for some people, for the vast majority it doesn't, and it actually hinders your productivity. Also, by setting up that designated workplace, you're giving yourself physical separation between where you work and where you relax, which makes it easier to do both. For example, when you sit down in this designated workplace and get into your work, you'll find that you become more absorbed in it and distractions just melt away, allowing you to work better and faster and be more productive and efficient. For some people, this might mean working at a dining room table or a kitchen table, while for others they might have a separate office space available in their house or a spare bedroom for them to use. At the end of the day, it doesn't really matter as long as it works for you, but I would suggest to find a space that there's minimal amount of traffic or distractions around. So for example, for my workspace, I'm using this spare room here, which has a small computer desk that has enough space for my computer, a spare monitor, and a small notebook. Now my third tip is all about organization and setting goals. So for example, at the start of my workday, I'll generally go in and write down all the tasks that I want to complete that day inside of this day planner. And that just gives me some focus on what I want to complete that day, what I feel is attainable to get done, and what my long-term objectives are in a given project. And that might not mean exactly writing down everything that you want to get done that day, but it might also involve writing down project deadlines or important meetings that you have with your supervisor, so on and so forth. I also generally find that I go back to these goals at the end of the week and reevaluate them. What was realistic for me to get done? What was a little bit far-fetched? And was there any feedback that my supervisor gave to me? Really, I'm looking for a way to improve how I set my goals and how I go about completing my tasks. And if you're setting work goals for a project or an assignment, then I would suggest using SMART goals. And SMART goals are generally used throughout the education industry, where SMART is an acronym for specific, measurable, attainable, results-focused, and timeline. So for specific, know exactly what you want to do and what you want to get out of this project. For measurable, you want to think about how you're going to evaluate your progress and how beneficial this project was for you. So for achievable, it's all about setting realistic goals to avoid missing deadlines or getting behind on your work. It also gives you an idea of how much time you've invested into other tasks during your work week. So for our results, it's going to be very similar to the specific. You want to have very clear and distinct outcomes that you're looking for in your project or assignment. And for timeline, you're going to want to set a deadline for each task, or if it's a complex task, breaking it down and figuring out what steps you're going to do and when you're going to do them by. This helps you look at how long a project might take or how long individual pieces might take. And my fourth tip has to do with what I talked about earlier, communication. Communication is a very important factor in staying on track. Whether you have an upcoming interview, group assignment, or project, or just want to have a meeting with your manager, I personally find video communication to be great. And that can be through Facebook, through Skype, through Google Hangouts, etc. When you're working in a placement, the most common form of communication will be regular check-ins with your manager or supervisor. Your managers are going to want to know whether you're present every day, engaged in your activities, and working towards your deadlines, especially since they can't physically see you when you're working from home. And the best way to let them know that they can count on you to complete your tasks is to let them know that you can be reached easily during the workday. So personally, I found it important to send short emails to my managers and supervisors, letting them know what I'm working on and what I've already completed with extra details. And this just gives them the benefit of knowing what you've completed and what they can cross off their list. You also should reply to all the emails you're sent, even if it's just to say, I'm on it. This lets your supervisors and any team members that you have know that you've read, understood, and are actively working on whatever was contained within that email. And if you don't respond to their emails, they might start to get frustrated and unsure of what you're doing, especially since they can't have that physical communication with you that they normally would. And on the note of teams, you're actually going to want to spend a little bit of time contacting each of your team members and getting to know them. This will help the team feel more connected and will play a role in boosting team morale, which is probably at an all-time low right now given our current situation. And my last tip is pretty self-explanatory, but it's to make it harder to mess around on social media. So as we know, social media is designed for you to be able to open it and browse quickly. However, this convenience also comes at a detriment to your work. To counteract the convenience and appeal of social media during your workday, you're going to have to take a few steps. The first step that I recommend is to log out of all your social media accounts on whatever work device you're using. Or consider working from an incognito or a private browser, so that way you'll have to spend the extra time to log into each of your accounts if you want to check them. Another tip would be to remove all social media from your bookmarks bar or your toolbar. And this just helps you avoid those unconscious clicks whenever you start to get bored or deviate from your task. And once you click on them, you generally get sucked into them and can be on them for 5, 10, 15 minutes. Or sometimes if it's YouTube, it can be up to an hour. So by eliminating those gateways, you're on track for success. And the third and last step I'll get you on disconnecting from social media during your workday is to put your phone face down on your desk, unless you're expecting a call. So for me personally, whenever I have my phone face up, I notice all the notifications, the one from WhatsApp or friends texting, Facebook, or Instagram. And those little flashing lights on the phone is just so distracting. It makes you want to go and check your notifications, to get distracted from your task. So generally what I'll do is I'll turn my notification setting off on my phone and then put it on the quiet vibrate or call setting in case something important comes up or if I'm expecting a phone call. So with that said, that's the end of this video. I hope you took some valuable tips and tricks out of this video to help you with your online placement or working from home. If you enjoy this content and want to see more like it, or some of my science demonstrations, more information about Teachers College, or some brief YouTube tutorials, please like and subscribe to my channel. I appreciate all the help I can get, especially as a starting YouTube content creator. So with that said, stay tuned for more videos. Have a good day and good luck working from home or at an online placement. Goodbye everyone!